In a previous video, we already talked about the many versions of Peter Parker seen in animated TV shows and movies, and now in this video we'll do the same, but for the Peter Parkers seen in video games instead. And it won't be in any particular order, just however we feel like doing it. Starting with what is probably the best Spider-Man game series of all time. Insomniac's Peter Parker is widely considered one of the best portrayals of the character in any medium, giving us a grounded, mature hero juggling responsibility, trauma, and relationships while battling iconic villains. He also acts as mentor to Miles Morales, who receives rather similar spider powers at the end of the first game. Voiced by Yuri Lowenthal, who is the default voice actor for Peter in nearly all recent Spider-Man-related games, this seasoned web-slinger had to face his mentor, Otto Octavius's tragic fall, loses Aunt May to the Devil's Breath outbreak, wrestles with the Venom symbiote, loses Harry Osborn to corruption, and confronts the limits of his own heroism while rebuilding his life with MJ. Next, we have several different multiversal Peters, plus one Miguel O'Hara from Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, and its sequel, Edge of Time. In the first game, Madam Web recruits 4 different Spider-Men from different universes in order to prevent the collapse of reality due to Mysterio's doing. All 4 were portrayed by actors who had voiced Spider-Man in a prior animated series. The different personalities, tones, and gameplay styles from these 4 different web crawlers provided an interesting experience. And after the day was saved, even Peter Porker the Spider-Ham made a cameo at the end, having arrived a little too late. In the sequel, only the Amazing Spider-Man, aka the mainstream Peter, and his future 2099 counterpart Miguel returned as dual protagonists, working together to fix their universe's broken time stream. In a surprising plot twist, it is revealed that the main villain was actually the future version of Peter Parker, who had been the secret CEO of the evil future corporation Alchemax all along. After a century of constantly using an anti-aging serum, this old Peter's spider powers had weakened significantly and had to rely on a giant iron spider suit to fight. Next is the PS1 Spider-Man game released back in 2000 and its sequel. We're giving this old game some love as the first ever 3D Spider-Man game that also started the trend of featuring a large set of unlockable alternate suits. Here we get a classic comic-era Peter who's quippy, sarcastic, and constantly joking. In the first game, Spider-Man attempts to clear his name after being framed and becoming a wanted criminal, while also having to foil a symbiote invasion orchestrated by Dr. Octopus and Carnage. In the second game, Spidey attempts to thwart a criminal conspiracy orchestrated by Electro. The 2 games felt like a wild comic book fever dream back then, and who could forget that crazy monster Ock chase at the end of the first game. Next is the Ultimate Spider-Man game released in 2005, which is directly based on Marvel's Ultimate Spider-Man comics, featuring a teenage Peter with messy mid-split hair, as well as some unlockable suits from that universe like the Arachno Man and Black Symbiote suit. Story-wise, the game takes place during the War of the Symbiotes storyline in the comics, with some events occurring differently. The main arc is centered around Venom, which, in the Ultimate Universe, originated as an experimental biosuit co-created by Peter's father instead of being an alien from outer space. Next is 2008's Spider-Man, Web of Shadows. Against an all-out symbiote apocalypse, Peter has to swing, fight, and make tough choices to save the city, or let it descend into darkness. This darker story forces us to choose between different paths: heroic Spider-Man, or darker symbiote-powered anti-hero, and giving us different endings according to our choices throughout the game. One of the most memorable moments is the meme-worthy introduction scene. Dubbed as the Sad Walk, Spidey is seen walking dejectedly while chaos happens all around him. Before we go any further, just know that I won't be covering any of the Spider-Man games that were made as tie-ins to the live-action films, since the Peter Parker featured in those games are practically the same versions as the ones we see in those movies. I'm also skipping games like Spider-Man Friend or Foe that is sort of based on the Raimi movies, and Avengers Damage Control that is based on the MCU and features Spider-Man. Despite both of those games not being canon to the movies, in fact, none of those games are actually canon with all the extra stuff they added.
It's hard for you.
Moving on, the next game we'll talk about is Marvel's Midnight Suns, a tactical card-based RPG that includes Spider-Man as one of its playable characters, once again voiced by Yuri Lowenthal. After his rival Venom came under the Demon Lilith spell, Peter entered the fight and later joined the supernatural-themed superhero group known as the Midnight Suns to thwart Lilith's plans of summoning the evil elder god Quothon. Throughout the game, Peter develops a close friendship with Ghost Rider Robbie Reyes, as both young heroes shared a passion for tech and building things. Peter also bonds with Hunter, the game's protagonist who wields dark and light magic. Next is a more lighthearted version of Peter from the LEGO games. Spidey is a main playable character in Marvel Superheroes 1 and 2, and is available in LEGO Avengers as a DLC. In-game, Peter's the only character with a camera and can take photos, and various other Spider heroes are playable, especially in the second game. In Superheroes 1, Spidey and the other heroes unite to stop Loki and other villains from assembling a superweapon out of powerful cosmic bricks. And in Superheroes 2, they travel across different time periods as they face against the time-traveling villain, Kang the Conqueror. Next is the Avengers game, with Spider-Man appearing as a PlayStation-exclusive DLC in 2021, over a year after the game was released. The entire game's story is centered around fighting the evil corporation known as AIM, and Peter, after interning for the company and learning about their misdeeds, decided to join the Avengers in taking them down. Peter maintained his secret identity with the team the whole time, even as he developed a close friendship with them. In the end, he gains a new suit as an Avengers Reserve member. Next is Marvel Rivals, Marvel's one and only online third-person hero shooter game, where we have Spider-Man classed as a duelist-type hero. The core premise is about dealing with time stream entanglement, which is a catastrophic collision of timelines caused here by Dr. Doom. Peter works with a group called the Web Warriors in Tokyo Web World, in order to protect the web of life and destiny that ties realities together, as he swings between different battlefronts. Another playable variant of Peter from another universe is Penny Parker, who is a Vanguard-type hero. As for Marvel fighting games, although a lot of them do feature Spider-Man, I don't want to cover all of them, though maybe I'll talk briefly about them a little bit. 2005's Marvel Nemesis, Rise of the Imperfects, was the first 3D fighting game where you could play as Spider-Man, and there's this cool corrupt form of his caused by the Imperfects' alien tech. This also marks Peter's first on-screen use of profanity.
You know what we call that? We call that a web-slinging ass-kicking.
There's not much to say about Marvel's Contest of Champions, although it did feature some interesting original multiversal variants of Peter Parker, like the Stark-enhanced Spider-Man and Spider-Man Supreme, among others, I guess. The newest fighting game is Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls, which is more Japanese-themed, featuring an original version of Peter Parker that combines the aesthetics of many previous iterations of the web crawler. There are still many other video games featuring Spider-Man/Peter Parker that we haven't mentioned, including all the retro pre-2000 16-bit and 8-bit games. For now, let's just consider this a top 10 video about the ones that I personally played. Maybe we'll continue with the others in another video. Thanks for watching.